Hello guys, this is my video on how to play Eva without the promo. And I will start with the ride deck. The ride deck is just the Eva ride deck. Just so you know, this is the second time I have to make this video. Because the first time the camera was just wrong. And so, if you didn't know what the ride line deck, the grade 1 and grade 2, just search out the research cards, which the Eva focuses on. Make sure you have research and spear call and cards known as obsedate in their name, which is on attack count +1. So +1, search your deck for up to one card named obsedate and call it the rear guard. And shuffle your deck. And yeah, it doesn't say open. And the first effect is count +1. Look at cards from the top of your deck equal to the number of research cards in your order zone. And then yes, it says look, not reveal. And add one to hand. And put the rest to the bottom of your deck. And she gains 5,000 power. So yeah, she becomes an 18k beater. And that's regardless of, because in this deck, I found that you don't really persona ride. If you do, you manage to get your persona ride off, and it's nice, and it's really, really good. And of course our artwork. Don't really need to say much else. So yeah. On to the grade 3s. To no one's surprise, you run the ever 3 copies. And if you've never seen Eva before, she also has our companion, basically obsedate grade 3, which if you have a card in the order zone, he gains 5k. That's a generic skill, works for, and you also notice that he is a dual nation. So he's for Keta and Brancate, but pretty much only used in Eva, which she is Brancate. You can't really see it with the lighting, but yeah, she is Brancate. And if you have 3, he gains 10k instead of 5k. So he becomes a 23k beater, which is 15 to stop. So they have to basically use 1 card guards per much, but there is ways of powering up to make it 20k. Depending on what's in the hand, it might actually be 2, regardless of the power up. But yeah, and his second fact is glitter. You had to have an Eva with glitter, which is obviously Eva herself, and pretty much any of the Evas actually are glitter. He gain if he's peer cold, he gains a crit. If you have 3 or more research or cards in the order zone. Well, set orders specifically. Which is nice. But he also has a continuous, since you have the glitter active, he gains intercept and 10,000 shield. So yeah, he is a 10k shield as well. So he's both a defensive and offensive card. He's really, really good. And as you can see, this deck does evolve around orders. And I will play 8 orders. 3 copies of the grade 3 Eva research, 1 copy of the grade 2, and 3 copies of the Archite. So if you saw my Archite build, Archite runs 4 of this. I only run 3 of this. Why? Well, it's a grade 1 research. And this is Eva without the promo. If you have the promo, you take this out and this out. So you run 4 of that order and none of this. Sorry about that. It was a slight pause there. So where was I? Oh yeah. Also, you do run some monsters in this. So like Boba Mine, you can search Boba Mine out with this because it checks the top 5, and you can literally just add a monster in hand. You don't need to put one in drop zone. This, if you don't know what this is, it was the only research we had, so we only ever had the full research for the longest time, especially over here in the UK, where the promo didn't even arrive in the country. Never mind my locals. There was issues with the supplier. It wasn't just Busher Road. Busher Road was one of the main problems, but the supplier was the other problem. So we couldn't get the promo. But thankfully, due to my locals, they were really nice and gave us basically 4 copies for free. Not directly, but due to them giving everyone in the shop promos, I end up basically with the promos, which is nice. This is like when it's played, you draw a card and discard a card, and if you have 3 orders, you get the Soul Blast 1 and bind one of your opponent's rare cards. It's there just in case. In the build where it doesn't have the promo, and this is okay. If you start to hate it like I did, I love the artwork. I love all the Eva artwork, I'll be honest. But that's not the reason I play the deck. Then you start to hate it over time. Like at first you go, oh, this is great. And then it starts to get tiresome and you get really annoyed with it. And of course, we run 4 copies of the grade 3 order. The world is a blue research lab. This thing is one of the things that's made the deck even better than it already is. And I love it. Basically, if you don't know what it is, it's when it's played, you have to have an EVA Vanguard. That's another thing about the grade 2, it's not EVA Pacific. Same thing with the grade 1, it's not Archite. Is generic, so you can play it in pretty much anything. But this one is restricted, either just like the promo. So when it's played, you get to check the top 5 and choose up to 1 and call it. You can call anything you want, which is amazing actually, because it allows you to proc off effects that you couldn't do before. So like main phase, being able to use certain effects is really cool. And it has a second effect of Soul Blast 1 rests 3 research cards in the order zone and choose one of your glitter units, which I believe includes Eva herself, so she has glitter, and give it 5k. That effect is so rare. It's also been... Okay, that might be a slight jump cut. So this card is a must in the current world because it allows you to refill your board as well. So it's one of the problems before set it, is that it was really hard to build a board. And being able to build your board just from placing this and checking top 5 or anything, there's been times when I didn't need anything, but I just called something anyways, like a Boba Mine. It's one of the cards I needed that turn. Very good. So I can't really say any more about that because it's just an amazing card. So I'm going to move on to the grade 2s. And the grade 2s are very sad in my build because I'm missing copies of this grade 2. And I do run Combine Russia. Combine Russia is still in the deck even after I've said it. But here's something that you might want to reduce. Play this at 4 if you can. Like I said, I am missing 3 copies. and I'm hoping to try and get the ever free copies. But it looks like I'm not going to be able to. Because this card is going to be really hard to get, and this is probably the one areas that doesn't make this deck budget as much as it was. It wasn't really. Eva's not really a budget deck. She's very expensive, but I was lucky. So I managed to get Eva for a lot cheaper than she was worth. But again, that was also the time when Eva was just about becoming popular in English. But she still wasn't cheap. So this guy basically gains 5k power and shield if you have 3 orders. Yes, set orders. I was going to say, is it cards or is it orders? Yes, it's orders. Because if it was cards, you could technically use it in monster, in archive, but you can't due to it isn't really it would clog up your deck. So for that reason, it's not really useful. But you just have the glitter effect, just like the grade 3. If he is called fire effect, you gains the ability to attack the front row. Instead of the grade 3 gains a crit, the grade 2 can attack the front row. Run this at 4 if you can. Don't take Bulb of Mine out, you can reduce them down to 2 to get, 2. But then you need the other 2, and that's where the grade 1s come in. So I'm going to move on to the grade 2s. Because again, Bulb of Mine is pretty good for early game. You can discard them for Riot deck, and then you can use your order and then count +1 to call them from the drop. Not bad, not reused, unless you really want to. Okay, speaking of grade 1s, we run 4 Bulb of Mine, since again I'm missing cards. I'm only missing the grade 2 up to this, so that's how we get it in. We'll take Bulb of Mine out, but it's also up to you what else you take out in place of that. So, PGs. We play the Blitz order, just in case we'll go up against God Restrict or grade 4s with triple drive. That's literally it. Have yet, due to a play against my friend, who doesn't play those. He is gonna probably try and play Maelstrom, so if he gets Maelstrom, it'll probably have some sort of God Restrict, so. And also Chrono Jet. Chrono Jet, this is why you run it. Because Chrono Jet has triple drive. And it doesn't state, it actually specifically states triple drive. If you see the red text there, it specifically triple drive. Which also means this works in premium very well. So it's probably one of those cards you might want to run in premium. If you can't get this, then just run these. Now, due to this is the deck that runs the monster order instead, since this is either without the promo. If you use this, you can actually search out the PG. Not just Bulb of Mine, not just this guy and Bulb of Mine. I need to bring them into frame a bit. I can also barely see what I'm doing. It's not just these two, but it could also be the PG. So you can get these. You can get all the grade 1s, actually. All your grade 1s have monster, including this little guy. So yeah, these PGs are just the booster from set 1, actually. And not the reprint of the slightly different name. It's just a PG. There's nothing I can really say about PGs. And obviously it allows you, or if you have 1 or less cards in hand, you don't have to pay the cost. This guy, the reason I still run him is he... Whoops, I knocked the camera. That's okay. is a good recycle. Also, if you use the grade 3 research card, you can get them out and then recycle your up-to-dates back through using the grade 3 research. So it's really nice to have that. If you want to take them out, the card you would do is put the grade 2 up-to-date in. That's it. But the actual card I would remove will be getting up to, which is Bulbamine. This little monster, little alien, really good. So he's on play. So if you have a vanguard with Arcite or Eva, I know it says Glare, you can Soul Blast 2 to draw. It's nice, but he also gains 5k if you have 3 or more research. So you have 3 or more research, he gains 5k, so he becomes a 13k beat stick or booster. Really good as a booster, actually. He normally stays in the back. You're basically -1 +1, so it's basically 0 from hand. But it's 2 from soul, so you have to remember that. But it is totally fine. He is, I wouldn't say he's a must, but currently there's not much else we can do. And due to, again, Bulbamine is going to be the next card we'll talk about, so we'll talk about Bulbamine when we're going to be showing off Bulbamine. Bulbamine helps with Soul. If you're not playing the promo, you kind of have to play Bulbamine. Because the one thing I will say about the promo, it's just these 2 cards combined into one. Yeah. The promo is just Bulbamine and this combined, essentially. But the reason I run him as a 4 right now, in this current build, without the promo, is because I don't have my copies of the grade 2 up to date. So, but also due to we don't have the promo, we don't have the resources to keep going for very long. It's the one thing I will say why you want 8 cards with up to date in the name, and why you want 8 research. It's because you do run out of them very quickly. You do run out very quickly. And having a way of putting them back is nice. And having the soul, the fund for Eva, because if you remember, Eva is a Cam +1, soul +1. This is a 1 soul on 1 counter blast, 1 counter charge. Because at the end of the battle, if you have a set order in the order zone, you can put him in the soul to counter charge 1. He's from set 1. He is going to be an expensive card to get hold of. There's a monster you could be playing that basically every time he hits, every time the boosted unit hits. So the reason I'm pointing it out that way is because it works with this. So if you want to make this even more budget, you run that from set 1. I think it was like a common or a rare from set 1 that works really well with this. Because if you boost that grade 1 with this, it will attack the front row and you'll be able to get the count charge 2 to 3 in that single attack, which, man, that's impressive. Because this is only count charge 1, but he also goes into the soul, which, like I said, you actually need soul in the Eva. So that is the main core of the deck. Next to triggers, they're just really straightforward. We run 4 heals, and he has this heal specifically, and we run 8 crits. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have much space here with the camera. And of course, we run 3 fronts, and the over trigger. And you say, why are you running fronts when you could be running draws? You deck out too fast. And you're already plus. There's times when you might actually have a pretty decent sized hand. Yes, it depends on what your opponent's playing and how they're playing it. But still, you do get to check the top cards equal to the number of research cards and add 1. And then check in 5k. And you also have multi-attack, so you're pretty aggressive and you can build your hand up. I'd rather build the triggers around aggression and also big shield rather than cards that have small shield. And there is times when I wish I had 10Ks, but again, grade 1s have had 10k shields, and now they already got 5k shields. So we'll go from 10k shields with grade 1s in V all the way back down to 5k like we did. You run this over trigger because it's basically the best over trigger, pretty much. It also depends on timing. So like how I say the Dark States one is one of the best ones because it's a permanent crit and 10k. But you have to get it off. The earlier you get it off, the better. So that's why I run fronts, because they're 20k shield and the power of the front row, which you will have. Eva's one of those decks that has the front row when she attacks. And that's after attacking with one lever. So you get 4 attacks. You can swing with one of the rear guards. And then you attack with Eva, do a skill with Spear Calls, and upstairs. So fronts work really well, and I have yet to come across a reason to run draws. And I only found reasons not to run draws. So I've played this deck for quite some time now, and even with the set 6 meta build of it, because that's round when I got Eva was set 6, or leading up to set 6. It wasn't actually out when I got it. Well, it was, but it wasn't. Like, it was a time when it was just about out, but I didn't get a chance to play it into. I already got the cards, but I did play it before I put. It was Combined Russia, and it was the only card I needed from set 6. So this is the set 8 build of Eva without the promo. Set 8 kind of fixed some of the issues that we would have had with Eva. Like the grade 3 order basically allows you to spear call, which allows you to get effects off at that point. So yeah, that was my deck profile of Eva. And there's not much else I can go off, and I'm still trying to learn how I want to do these videos and how often I want to do these videos. I was thinking maybe a weekly thing, but I don't think I can do that, especially when I only have like these 2 decks essentially. I do have a Lenore deck that I'm trying to work on. There's the MLB deck that I'm trying to work on. Those decks are never going to be built, and until they get some nice support in a booster, not much is going to change. So yeah, that was my Eva without promo. So we'll see you in the next one.